Imagine a woman devoted to a marriage for 40 long years, her entire identity woven into the fabric of a grand home and a large family, only to have it all violently ripped away on the most devastating day of her life. Imagine being 68 years old, sitting across from a panel of greedy stepchildren in an attorney's office, and hearing that you are nothing but domestic help, a line to be erased and forgotten. That was Peggy's reality. Her cold-hearted stepchildren, Stephen, Catherine, and Michael, inherited millions, a stunning Brookline mansion, and a life of leisure, while Peggy was handed a single ancient rusty iron key to a property she had never heard of in a small town nobody ever visited. This mysterious and seemingly worthless key was the gateway to a powerful and secret inheritance that would change everything, not just for her, but for the entire family, proving that true love's protection can survive the gravest of acts. Peggy's story begins in that very attorney's office, the air heavy with the scent of old paper and suppressed greed. Marcus Chen, the attorney who had managed Richard's estate for decades, looked genuinely pained as he delivered the news. For years, Peggy had hosted dinner parties for Marcus, made him laugh, cooked him meals. Now he was the one serving the final blow. He read Richard's words aloud, verbatim. "My wife, Peggy Ann Morrison, has lived comfortably at my expense for 40 years and has wanted for nothing. This is more than adequate compensation for her companionship and for the domestic services she has provided." Each syllable felt like a physical assault, a cold wind of betrayal that threatened to extinguish her very breath. She looked at her stepchildren, who sat a combined distance that was more emotional than physical, and saw only calculations of wealth. If you're finding Peggy's strength in the face of such betrayal inspiring, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tales of resilience. She was told she had 30 days to pack 40 years of life. 30 days to compress a reality into cardboard boxes, all under the watchful, critical eyes of Stephen, Catherine, and Michael. They arrived at the mansion nearly every day, walking through rooms with clipboard-carrying contractors, discussing knocking down the very walls that had protected Peggy. "We'll open up this whole space," Catherine would say, gesturing broadly at a wall adorned with photos Peggy had lovingly arranged. They discussed redecorating her memories, using words like clutter to describe the physical manifestations of 4 decades of shared life. Peggy, a ghost in her own home, was invisible, a piece of furniture scheduled for removal. Have you ever felt like a phantom in your own life, witnessing your history being rewritten by people who never truly cared? Share your feelings in the comments below. All that was left of 40 years was a single, heavy, leather-bound brown envelope. It contained the rusty key and a single sheet of stationer with Richard's familiar handwriting. 47 Oakwood Lane, Millbrook, Massachusetts. Peggy, this is yours now. Go there as soon as you can. It felt like a parting insult, a joke meant to humiliate her further. She had never heard of 47 Oakwood Lane, never knew Richard owned property outside of Brookline. The town of Millbrook was not just rural, it was forgotten, barely a dot on the map. Her stepchildren mocked the property, calling it a shack and worthless, something they wouldn't touch with a lawsuit, let alone own. If you're rooting for Peggy to find the ultimate vindication with this secret inheritance, please make sure to subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up. But Peggy, 68 and with nothing to lose, chose to make the long drive west, leaving the toxic echo chamber of the Brookline mansion behind. The landscape shifted from the manicured lawns of Boston to the rugged, untouched beauty of rural Massachusetts. The forest became dense, a tunnel of ancient, massive oak trees filtering the afternoon light into patterns that danced across her windshield. The road turned to dirt, rutted and rough, a final test of her low-clearance sedan.
Her GPS, initially confident, eventually admitted defeat, advising her to turn back multiple times before declaring in its cheerful, mechanical voice, "You have arrived at your destination." Have you ever embarked on a journey to a place you were told was worthless, only to find it was the single most important location of your life? Tell us about your journey in the comments. She stopped the car and stared. The property wasn't a shack, it was a sanctuary. The house was built from gray fieldstone, 2 stories with a steep slate roof that was remarkably intact. It had the bones of a historical landmark. Ivy grew up the stone walls, decorative like something from an English country estate rather than abandoned neglect. Stone pathways obscured by grass hinted at the bones of original formal gardens. Roses bloomed wild and untamed, and a silent, dry fountain stood in a clearing. As Peggy stepped out of the car, trying to process the disconnect, she saw an older woman walking purposefully toward her with a wicker basket. "You're Peggy," the woman, Dorothy Harmon, said with complete certainty. "We've been waiting for you." This entire town had been waiting for Peggy to discover her secret inheritance. Dorothy, who ran the town's general store, handed over a basket of fresh food, fresh bread, eggs, milk, coffee, because she knew Peggy would need supplies. Peggy was stunned to learn that Richard had been coming to Millbrook regularly for 40 years. Once a month for weekend trips he had always said were for work. He had built an entire second life, dedicated in silence to the woman he loved. Dorothy explained that Richard protected this property completely, keeping it secret for her protection. "From what? From them?" Peggy had asked, stepping through a looking glass of reality. "From them, I imagine," Dorothy had said, gesturing to the distant world that had underestimated her. "So they would find legal ways to claim it." If you're beginning to understand the layers of protective love hidden in this secret inheritance, please make sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories like this. Dorothy used the rusty iron key to open the heavy oak door. It turned smoothly in the lock. The interior was a masterpiece, not a ruin. Wide plank wood floors glowed with the patina of age. A massive stone fireplace dominated a wall, its mantel carved from a single piece of oak. High-quality furniture was simple but clearly expensive. Shelves were filled with leather-bound books, but it was the walls that took Peggy's breath away. Every inch was covered in framed photographs, photos of Peggy. Candid moments of pure, unfiltered joy that Richard had captured over 40 years. Peggy laughing at a joke, Peggy kneeling in her garden with dirt on her hands, Peggy reading in afternoon sunlight. Every photograph was beautifully framed, arranged like a private museum dedicated to her memory. Have you ever discovered that the person you loved had a hidden sanctuary dedicated entirely to preserving your happiness? Let us know in the comments how that realization changed you. Dorothy led Peggy through the house with the care of a trusted curator. She revealed that the house had been maintained through a fund Richard had established with the local bank, designed to cover all property expenses, utilities, property taxes, basic maintenance for the next 50 years. He had ensured she would never have to worry about the cost of her own sanctuary. And there was more. Dorothy pointed out a hidden door under the staircase that Peggy hadn't even noticed. Inside was a small study, its walls lined with filing cabinets that, in Richard's precise handwriting, were meticulously labeled with the names of prominent Boston families, legal dealings, and, chillingly, the names of his own children. This was the ultimate arsenal of her secret inheritance. Please make sure to subscribe and like this video if you're enjoying Peggy's path to power and vindication. This hidden room was Richard's legal insurance policy. Along with the trust fund, the cabinets contained detailed documentation of sensitive information he had amassed during 50 years as a top attorney, secrets that powerful families and, crucially, his own children would very much prefer stayed private. He had collected information, documented financial dealings, and organized personal matters. The files labeled with Stephen, Catherine, and Michael's names contained documentation of their own financial indiscretions, accounting irregularities, and legal shortcuts. He never weaponized it, Dorothy explained, because he was a better person, but he left Peggy the option to use it if she ever needed to protect her secret inheritance. If you found out you had legal leverage that could destroy the people who tried to destroy you, would you use it? Share your ethical dilemma in the comments below.
With newfound strength, Peggy prepared for the confrontation. She didn't have to wait long. Within 3 days, a black Mercedes appeared on the dirt road leading to the sanctuary. Stephen, Catherine, and Michael emerged, their expressions shifting from arrogant confidence to confused uncertainty as they took in the stone house and well-maintained grounds. Peggy watched them from an upstairs window before opening the door with quiet, composed control. "Hello, Stephen, Catherine, Michael," she said pleasantly, radiating a quiet power they had never witnessed. She served them tea on her new porch, using beautiful china that had belonged to the uncle from whom Richard had inherited the property. They awkwardly cleared their throats, Stephen claiming, "We've come to discuss the property situation, misunderstanding about father's will and this property's value." Catherine added, sharp as ice, "Property and land are worth considerably more than anyone knew. As his children and his primary heirs, we believe we have a legal right to shares of all significant marital assets." Peggy smiled, taking a delicate sip of her tea, and laid the ultimate weapon of her secret inheritance on the table between them, the thick folder labeled with their names. "This property isn't a marital asset," she said calmly. "It was deeded to me in 1984 as a gift, completely separate from our marriage." Don't forget to subscribe and like this video to see greedy antagonists get their just rewards. She calmly explained the contents of the folder. A trust with conditions and restrictions you're going to discover very soon when you try to actually access your money. Information about various personal and business matters that you would probably all prefer stayed private. She watched as their faces went pale. She wasn't bluffing. She was quoting from 40 years of strategic genius. She stood up, signaling the meeting was over, and gave them a simple choice. Walk away. Accept the will exactly as it was written. Live your lives with your complicated trusts and your restrictive inheritances. Leave me alone in my sanctuary. We never have to see each other or speak to each other again. But if you challenge me in court, if you try to take this property from me or make my life difficult in any way, I will release every single piece of information your father collected about you. Your reputations, your social standing, your carefully maintained public images, all of it will be destroyed. Do you understand me?" The silence was absolute, except for the ticking of an antique clock. Her stepchildren, seeing her for the first time not as the secretary who married their father, but as a woman with leverage and documented ammunition, understood perfectly. They left without another word, driving away, the expensive Mercedes looking ridiculous and out of place on the rustic dirt road. If you're enjoying this triumphant vindication of true love and resilience, please make sure to subscribe and give this video a huge thumbs up.
6 months later, Peggy sat on her restored stone porch, watching the autumn forest transform into a masterpiece of red and gold around Morrison House. The seasons had changed, and so had she. Her stepchildren dropped their legal challenge within a week. The Brookline mansion eventually sold, but the siblings discovered the complex historical preservation easements and substantial mortgage that left them with far less than anticipated, and their trusts were as frustratingly complex as Richard had designed them. His revenge had been subtle, perfectly legal, and devastating. Peggy had spent the last 6 months transforming the sanctuary from Richard's shrine into Morrison House, a retreat center for women like her. A blank canvas of love and community built upon the ultimate secret inheritance. Morrison House became a sanctuary for widows to find community, for women leaving difficult situations to find shelter and support, for anyone who needed time and space to figure out their next chapter. Peggy, now a volunteer at the library, an active member of the community center, and greeted by name in the general store, finally belonged to a world that saw her for herself, not for who she supported. And as she sunset painted the autumn sky in shades of orange and purple, Peggy knew that while Richard's plan was deeply flawed and silent, his clever and complicated devotion had given her not just property, but the freedom to finally, at 68 years old, discover who she'd always been meant to become. We hope Peggy's journey has inspired you. If her resilience and triumph touched your heart, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to join our community. Your support helps us tell more stories of love's powerful and unexpected ways. We want to hear from you. What was your favorite moment of vindication for Peggy? What lesson did you learn about resilience and true love from her journey with her secret inheritance? Share what you learned and tell us about a time true love protected you in the comments below. Remember, share this story with someone who needs a reminder that their worth isn't defined by who discarded them, but by who loved them enough to protect them from beyond the grave. Because together, we prove that dreams don't age, and sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones hidden from greedy eyes.